During the 20th century, scientists crossed moral boundaries seeking insights into human conduct, performing research that contemporary standards would deem completely unacceptable. Today, we're investigating 5 behavioral studies that uncovered troubling realities about humanity, while provoking serious ethical concerns about research practices. Hit subscribe on the Record Vault to discover more intellectually challenging examinations of mental processes. Launching at number 5. The Asch Conformity Experiments. Throughout the 1950s, Solomon Asch illustrated how easily people discard their own observations to align with collective opinion, even when that collective viewpoint is demonstrably false. Subjects were instructed to compare line measurements in what appeared like a straightforward visual assessment, yet were encircled by actors who intentionally provided incorrect responses, with findings indicating that 75% of volunteers agreed with the erroneous majority at minimum, once, regardless of obvious data, refuting the collective. The research demonstrated that peer influence could supersede individual reasoning and perceptual information, with subjects subsequently acknowledging they recognized the collective was mistaken, yet dreaded mockery or suspected defects in their own observation. This ostensibly harmless investigation exposed humanity's alarming readiness to question objective reality when confronting social agreement, establishing foundations for comprehending how authoritarian governments secure obedience and how collective thinking drives rational individuals to endorse clearly detrimental strategies. Progressing to number 4, the Monster Study. Executed in 1939 by University of Iowa investigator Wendell Johnson, this communication disorder research purposefully created speech impediments in institutionalized minors to evaluate hypotheses about their origins, acquiring its ominous designation from Johnson's teaching assistant, who acknowledged the investigation's brutality. 22 institutionalized youths were separated into categories, with half obtaining supportive communication treatment, whereas the remaining half experienced relentless condemnation, being informed they were developing stuttering even when they demonstrated no such condition, producing multiple previously fluent-speaking juveniles acquiring permanent communication disorders and mental scarring. The investigation stayed concealed for decades owing to its transparent ethical transgressions, only surfacing publicly in 2001, when the University of Iowa delivered an official acknowledgement and distributed significant compensation to surviving subjects who had experienced enduring harm from intentional mental mistreatment disguised as scholarship. The research proved the catastrophic influence of adverse classification and expectancy effects, yet at an indefensible expense to defenseless juveniles who never approved and were irreversibly damaged for understanding that could have been acquired via monitoring instead of manipulation. Advancing to number 3, the Little Albert Experiment. Johns Hopkins investigator John B. Watson's 1920 investigation sought to establish that emotional reactions could be trained, employing a 9-month-old baby designated as Albert B. as his research participant without substantial authorization from the infant's guardian, who was employed at the medical facility. Watson and his colleague Rosalie Rayner continuously combined a white rodent with frightening auditory stimuli generated by hammering metal against a steel beam immediately behind the unsuspecting baby, training Albert to dread not exclusively rodents, but ultimately all fur-covered items, including lagomorphs, canines, and even a holiday character, disguised via response expansion. The investigation achieved generating a phobia within a formerly fearless infant, yet Watson never endeavored to eliminate the training before Albert's guardian withdrew him from the medical facility, abandoning the juvenile possibly damaged permanently by anxieties synthetically inserted for academic inquisitiveness. Contemporary historical investigation proposes Albert was probably a cognitively impaired juvenile named Douglas Merritt, who expired at age 6 from brain fluid accumulation, indicating Watson might have purposefully chosen a susceptible participant, and the investigation's impacts on his abbreviated remaining existence stay uncertain, contributing another dimension of sorrow to this foundational though profoundly immoral investigation. Rising to number 2, the Stanford Prison Experiment. Philip Zimbardo's notorious 1971 investigation converted Stanford University's underground level into a simulated detention facility where university pupils arbitrarily designated as supervisors or detainees deteriorated into cruelty so intense the investigation concluded after merely 6 days of its intended 2-week span. Supervisors devised progressively cruel penalties, including compelling detainees into isolated detention, requiring them to sanitize lavatories with unprotected hands, and administering humiliating physical activities. Whereas detainees experienced mental collapses, manifested stress-induced medical conditions, and displayed indicators of acute distress regardless of understanding the circumstance wasn't authentic. Zimbardo personally became so immersed in his function as detention administrator that he neglected to intercede until his doctoral pupil and romantic partner, Christina Maslach, protested the mistreatment, becoming the exclusive individual among 50 spectators to dispute the investigation's morality, exposing how contextual pressures can compromise even investigators intended to sustain supervision. Though subsequently condemned for procedural deficiencies, including instructing supervisors to demonstrate harshness and choosing subjects inclined toward hostility, the investigation's enduring significance resides in its proof that average individuals swiftly embrace abusive conduct when positioned in roles of unrestricted power within degrading frameworks, furnishing unsettling understanding into organizational mistreatment while imposing authentic mental damage on subjects who enlisted for an investigation and obtained distress alternatively, and securing the most unsettling #1 ranking. The Milgram obedience experiments. Yale behavioral scientist Stanley Milgram's 1961 investigations examined how willingly individuals would execute commands to injure others, generating a situation where subjects believed they were delivering progressively intense electrical currents to a pupil in a neighboring chamber, who vocalized suffering and pleaded for cessation. Regardless of the pupil being an actor and currents being simulated, subjects underwent authentic anxiety as the power figure demanded they persist, with 65% ultimately delivering what they assumed were deadly 450-volt currents, because an individual in professional attire instructed them the investigation demanded it. Subjects displayed intense pressure reactions including anxious vocalization, shaking, convulsion-resembling indicators, and 3 experienced complete mental disintegrations throughout the sessions, though Milgram furnished no substantial clarification or mental assistance, abandoning numerous permanently influenced by the understanding they were capable of possibly terminating someone exclusively because a power figure ordered it. The investigation exposed frightening realities about human compliance that assisted clarifying Holocaust involvement and alternative atrocities, proving that average individuals will execute exceptional wickedness when accountability is dispersed via hierarchical power, yet accomplish this understanding by misleading and mentally damaging hundreds of subjects who identified unsettling realities about their personal ethical capacities they could never forget. These contentious investigations progressed behavioral scholarship while imposing authentic damage on unsuspecting or susceptible subjects, initiating the contemporary ethical oversight frameworks that presently safeguard investigation participants. They compel us to address uncomfortable inquiries about knowledge's cost and scientific exploration's boundaries. Which investigation troubles you most? Post your considered viewpoints in the comments. And remember to like and subscribe to the Record Vault for additional fascinating investigations of behavioral science and human conduct.